Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Bonnie Piesse about Obi-Wan Kenobi on Disney+. Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
I mean, this is a long time coming for the fans, and of course for everyone else involved. I feel like we always think about the fans, right? The fans want it. The people involved too have been waiting for this.
Of course. We've all been talking about it. I mean, it was just rumors up until obviously fairly recently.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, everyone, I mean, most people want to come back, I think. Ewan was like, yeah, of course.
Oh, absolutely. Well, there was the rumors, and then there was when it was finally announced, all right, he's coming back, Obi-Wan. So what's kind of the mindset like, do you think, for you and the cast, you specifically, even before you knew that you were going to come back as well, like what's that mindset when it's officially like confirmed Obi-Wan Kenobi series?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, it was super exciting to hear that, of course. It's like, wow, okay, amazing. So there's that, initial excitement. And then, just getting ready for it so that you can do the best you possibly can and make an amazing series. So I had quite a lot of warning. I didn't hear until the end of 2020.
Yeah.
So yeah, just, prepping, getting ready and excited.
But you look at, like Mandalorian and like Boba Fett, is there a little bit of kind of the combination of, excitement and overwhelming, because a lot of these kind of Star Wars series just kind of take off like wildfire as soon as they get hit globally? Like, was that kind of in the mindset as well?
Of course. It feels a little bit like, oh my gosh, this is really happening. And where's it going to go and how many people are going to see it? Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, how many people do see these shows? A lot.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and like fast. Sure. Like, I think the best part about it is the quickness. Like, it's just like it launches. Like, I was reading about it. Like, a lot of people watched the first episode of this show. Like, it was like
really?
After like a weekend.
I haven't seen the numbers. Yeah. I know. I mean, I know that I was in a restaurant in LA and, there were people at the next table talking about it, of course. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
It becomes a massive pop culture thing.
So you've been part of the Star Wars universe for quite some time right now. And I'm really excited to ask you this question, because I feel like if you ask a lot of different people that worked on a Star Wars film, or people that even came on board just to work on like Mandalorian or Obi-Wan Kenobi, and that was like their first experience of Star Wars, you get different answers. Why do you think the Star Wars universe and world is so popular, Bonnie? Is it the storytelling? Is it the community? Is there something about it? Is it the space? Like, I'm just curious.
It's so hard to say, right? That's a really good question.
Yeah.
I mean, some things that I can think of, I think the Force really kind of touches somebody, because there's truth to it too, I will tell you. So I feel like that kind of touches people. And then the mythology, George Lucas was so great with mythology, and he worked with Joseph Campbell to come up with the heroic journey and the heroic struggle and everything. So I don't know, it's just very human, and there's something magic about it. People just love it.
Did the mindset change it's all storytelling, right? But like movies, then a TV show, did it feel completely different? Or did it feel like, I'm back in Star Wars?
Oh, back in Star Wars. It didn't feel different at all. I mean, like, I know they've done so many different things that, the animation and everything, that I'm sure that feels really different. But this felt like we were making a movie. It felt exactly the same. Yeah.
It's so crazy. So what's that? Okay, so it's established, it's on the internet, you're coming back, you're reprising a role and everything. What's like the first thing on your mind, basically? What are you doing to kind of get back in the rhythm? Because, the Revenge of the Sith was the last time we saw your character. It's quite some time ago. You know what I mean?
Quite some time ago. Yeah. I mean, and I haven't done any conventions for a number of years either. So it's kind of like getting back into the whole scene, and I'm doing a number of conventions this year, which will be really great. So it's like, this whole resurgence, and I guess I'll get to meet all the new Star Wars fans too.
When you do the conventions, that's when it really starts to hit, like you're part of something special, right? That's what it really is.
Exactly. Like for episode 2, Attack of the Clones, I don't think I really understood what I was a part of. I mean, how could you? And then I showed up at in Indianapolis, Celebration 2, and I think I'm gonna probably mess up the numbers, but I think there were like 40,000 Star Wars fans or something there, and that was like, wow,
It's a big really... pop culture brand. It's a big like geek nerd culture It's like probably one of the biggest. Like when you think of those kind of worlds and like escapism, you think of Star Wars. Like it's up there.
Right. Exactly. It's like a Star Wars, Star Trek. Yeah. It's like there's a few that are really that powerful in pop culture.
And I find this so interesting because this question is interesting to talk to you about because when I was like. Mind you, actually, it will be different because when I watched like the Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, right? Like it was, I was in school wearing the T-shirt, and everything, and like I was like, oh, you're a nerd, you're a geek, you're a nerd, right? Like it wasn't as mainstream as it is right now. Is that kind of a bit weird now? That like the Star Wars, like it was a bit niche, right? Geek culture.
I see. Yeah.
It's like different world right now.
Now it's like everywhere.
Yeah.
True. I do feel like it's built over the years. It has become more and more. It's true. Like I'll walk down the street and I usually see a person with a Star Wars t-shirt.
Yep.
That's so true. Yeah.
What was it like officially? So I'd like you, because you said it felt like making a movie. Can you just talk a little bit more about what it was like kind of shooting Obi-Wan Kenobi for Disney Plus? Like anything else you can tell me about that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it was different from Revenge of the Sith, which my scene was actually on the green screen.
Yeah.
So, and I know Ewan's talked about that as well and how funny that was trying to piece together in your mind that whole scene. Like we were looking out at the sunset at a broomstick and that kind of thing. So I won't get into the specific sets yet because I don't want to give it away, but in this one, it was, no green screen. So a lot of it felt much more real.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So that's really cool.
It felt like we're in the world.
That is so cool. Well, it's so funny. You just look at like how movies were made. I mean, I feel like I've asked people this, the effects, right, are so good. You could do a lot of things like CGI and everything. But remember when like movies were originally made where like they had like, I remember watching Pirates of the Caribbean, watching the DVD and seeing like they made like a whole pirate ship. Like it was an actual pirate ship.
Right. Right.
And now it's a green screen. You know what I mean? It's crazy how like where we've gone, I feel like a little bit. Did it feel like you were entering like a new, because when you were doing the Star Wars movies, back in those days, like technology wasn't where it was today, right? Like it's still, there was a lot of technology, but did you feel the differences a little bit?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's so much, I mean, I don't even understand the cameras and everything that they had on set. Like my husband really geeks out about all that, but I don't know what I'm looking at. But yeah, there's a lot of techie stuff that goes on. For sure.
It's so crazy. Just a general question for you. I mean, Body Piece is a storyteller. That's what you do essentially. What excites you specifically about storytelling?
I think it's that humanness.
Yep.
Life is such a funny thing, and we all go through these ups and downs and struggles and triumphs. And I love witnessing other people's journey. I feel like it helps us feel not as alone.
That's a very good way. I feel like there's the comfort aspect of it too, where we kind of, I feel like we depend and rely on like storytelling a lot of ways too.
Right.
Which I think is what you're kind of alluding to a little bit. Like, I feel like, is it also a cool thing? Like, like we talked about the Comic-Cons and the conventions and everything, the access. Like, I just love how many people like tweet and like Instagram about, your character and Star Wars all around the world. Like, that's the coolest thing in my opinion.
It's so cool. Yeah. I'm not on Twitter. I actually got off Twitter a little while ago. It was just a bit much for me, but yeah, like Instagram and everything, I see everything coming through, and it's such a community, and it's just so big.
So when did it officially? It's obviously starting to hit you. Like it hit you maybe like 2-3 weeks before it premiered on Disney Plus, Obi-Wan the series, because you're doing press and everything. It's like a given. But when did it start officially like hitting you? Like wow, like this is coming out to the world. Like people are going to see this finally.
I will say it was the moment that I realized I was going to be talking to Deborah Chow.
Yeah.
About the role before I even knew what it was. It was like, oh, Zoom with Deborah Chow. Okay, here we go. I figured it was probably something to do with Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was that feeling of like something's coming. Yeah.
And like, just that one conversation is just, exactly. Like something massive is coming, and it's like,
right.
How do you prepare yourself? I don't even think you can prepare yourself for a Zoom call like that.
No, you just deal with the nerves. And just go with it.
What are some things that you're loving because we talked about, the access and everything. Anything else you love about like any trends in like TV and film or like storytelling these days? Like, do you just love that a lot of stories are being told? Like, anything specifically stand out for you specifically?
I do always love sci-fi.
Yeah.
And my husband's a huge sci-fi guy too. We both really love it. And I think it has to do with that kind of magical aspect that you can tell in the sci-fi stories. And, you can get into kind of spiritual discussions and everything in sci-fi too. So I really love that.
Absolutely. How many times do you think people watched the Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer for the series when it finally came out? Like, I bet, I wonder, like, there's probably some people that, like, probably watched that, like, all day. Like, the people that were waiting for it.
I would love to know who has the record and what that is. Of how
the record's probably high. Like, we joke and everything, but someone probably watched that, like, 100 times in a day, easily.
At least, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if it was more. And now, obviously, there's lots and lots of little trailers. I'd love to see the numbers of like who in the world has watched it.
Well, I think the crazy thing too, and this one was a little different, is something that has changed, Bonnie, is how projects kind of get out in the world. I mean, I remember when like certain projects were announced, right? So it's a big thing. Oh, these people are scheduled to film this movie. Boom. So it's like, great. Then it's like first look photos. Or actually before that, no, it's like casting, right? So-and-so added to the cast. So all these like deadline articles and Variety and everything. And then it's like first look photos, release date and everything. With this show, though, it was a little longer and a little more different. You know what I mean? Where it started to become like a great new thing coming to Disney Plus. When's the Obi-Wan trailer coming out?
Right. And we don't know what's happening at all. Yeah. And we still haven't seen any photos of my character yet. So
I know that what's going on. Yeah, I know. That's what's. I mean,
they're keeping it secret.
And it's cool because it's like you do these interviews and like that's why I've seen people do interviews where they ask like a question about something and it's just like the interview just stalled because it was just like
I'm not going to give you spoilers. Definitely not.
I saw like an interview where like there was an interview for a Marvel movie and they just went right into it. And like the first question was just like the guest was like, oh my goodness, like I don't know if I could this might be a spoiler.
Yeah. No, and like firstly, you don't want to ruin it for everyone. And secondly, you've signed an NDA. Yeah. So you're not going to start divulging details. Yeah.
Well, I always found it super strange too when like I get the screeners for stuff and we're doing this interview and it's like I'm doing an interview with someone and the project comes out in July and we're doing it in the beginning of June and I've seen it and the guest might have seen it or like they know what happens because they read the scripts and everything. And it's weird because it's like no one's gonna be able to see it for another like 2 months. And like we know all this stuff, and it's like, how do we kind of present this in a spoiler-free interview?
Right. What do you talk about exactly?
Absolutely. Well, we'll leave the interview with the last question of when they get to watch Obi-Wan Kenobi and get to see kind of your character like come back eventually, hopefully, because we're all waiting.
She's coming, I think.
What do you hope they get out of it specifically when they watch the series of Obi-Wan Kenobi?
What do I hope they get out of it? I hope they get hope, because Obi-Wan, he lost his hope. And I hope that through the whole journey of watching this story, people get that back and feel like, yes, Obi-Wan found himself.
That's amazing. Bonnie, thank you so much for coming on Popternative and chatting about Obi-Wan Kenobi. It was so great chatting with you.
Thank you, Petey. You too.
Absolutely. Obi-Wan Kenobi on Disney Plus, and you have an Instagram account that people could keep update with, right?
Yeah, at Bonnie M. Piesse. So
amazing.
BONNIEM. Piesse. Little confusing.
Awesome. This has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Till next time, it's Bonnie Piesse and Petey Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.